Hi guys, I'm back. I'm so sorry I've kept you waiting, but I think I'll make up for it with the lesson that we're going to do today. It is a Christmas advent calendar for kids of all ages, and I've got it just in time for you to create before December 1st. So you do need a few things from Kmart. I specifically am going to use this plywood slat board. It's about $8 in the craft section. I'm going to turn it into a tree today. Now I'm going to do that using some awesome colourful paints from my favourite store, Zart Art. You can find a link below to a discount code and some fun other stuff to get from Zart. So we'll need some paints, but if you want it to be less messy, you can actually also use pretty much anything. Textures, pastels will also work on this plywood board. Now I've gone to town at Kmart collecting some decorative stuff just to suit the decor that I have at my house, but if you want to get really traditional, get some red and green stuff, but I've chosen some more sort of girly things. I've got some beads, some tassels, and they'll work as decorations on the tree. Again, you can use pom-poms, you can use buttons, you can pretty much use whatever you have at home, tinsel, things like that. Now another really important thing that you need is some pegs. Now these pegs are going to actually act as each date on the advent calendar. So the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all of that of December, and a little card will be connected to each of them. So I'm going to connect these pens to the plywood board using Super Tack. This again is also from Zart, and I suggest to use this because it's really, really strong glue. It dries clear, and so it will be fairly mess free, but it will work and it will stick whatever you need to. So there's also a link down there for you to get it at Zart. So check that out. Now, as a part of the advent calendar that I'm doing for my girls, a few of the different options are bags of prizes. So I've also got these cool Hessian little bags, and I'm going to fill a few of these with some special prizes, little special things for the girls to pick when they open their card. So I'll discuss all that later, but go to Kmart. This probably cost me maybe $25. It really wasn't much. And I'm just going to make one. Even though I have 2 girls, I've decided I'm just going to make one tree, because then I can put multiple little cards, one colour for Delilah, one colour for Sadie, and they get to choose their card on each morning. So come with me and let's have some fun with some Christmassy craft. All right, I'm going to put this decorative stuff to the side for now, because the main thing we want to work on is this slat board, which we're going to turn into a Christmas tree. And we're going to do that by painting today. Now, I don't have any green paint, but as you may know, all you need is some blue and some yellow. I'm also going to add a little bit of white and use my color mixing skills today to create some different versions of green for my tree. The first thing I'm doing is actually painting the corners of my slat board with some white to sort of turn it into a bit of a tree. My original idea was to actually cut them diagonally to turn it into a sort of a pine tree shape, but this is actually going to be a lot easier, and I think it'll look just as effective. So just spend some time. I'm painting white. You might choose to do black, but just sort of a triangle for each slat. We're going to paint using white. So now that this is going to dry, you can see there's already sort of a tree outline being created with this white. You do not need to do those very, very neatly at all, but let it dry. I'm going to start to mix my green paint. Now I want this to be a fairly realistic tree, so I'm going to have a go at making a few different forms of green. All I need are these 3 colors, and I'm going to have a go at mixing some different types of green just on my palette here. We're going to start, I'm just going to get 50% of blue and yellow. So that means the same amount of each colour. I'm just going to make a fairly true, middle of the road kind of green. There it is. Beautiful. All right, now what I'm going to do, I might make quite a bit of that actually. So if you get 50%, half of both of your primary colours, you're going to get a secondary colour, as you can see here, and today It's that middle green. Now, if I add a bit of blue to a part of that, I'm making the next layer of color, which is a tertiary color. And this is called blue-green. It's also known as sort of a turquoise bluey green there. You can see it's really deep blue, it's beautiful. Now, if I add some yellow to my medium green here, you can see that I get another tertiary color, and that's called yellow green. Might add a little bit more yellow to make a really lime green here. And anyone can do this. So I've simply and very quickly made 1, 2, 3, 4 types of green there. And if I add white to each of them, I'm creating even more depth of color. So you can see my palette here is really full of lots of different colors, and we can have a go at using those now. So when I'm going to paint, I do want to make my edges on the diagonal line here quite neat, because it is the line that's really going to stand out. So you can start with whatever color you want, really. And I'm literally going to just paint that part really carefully. And then I'm just going to paint with the different colors in a strokey kind of motion, and have a go at using all different colors at the same time. And the colors will mix really nicely. I'm applying it quite thickly, and you can see that a bit of texture is sort of being created there. There. So I'm going to continue that for each of the slats, and I need to try to get in to this bit here. Obviously, if you're working with this with really young children, or you don't do a lot of art at home, it might just be best to start with one green. You don't have to do this sort of depth of color like I'm showing you. Just adds a bit of complication to it if you're just starting out. Whoops. So the tree's coming together, as you can see here. I've just been repeating what I did at the top here for each one, using my different greens in a bit of a blobby kind of streaky motion. Gives it a nice texture. We need to let this dry completely before moving on to the next section. Now, traditionally within an advent calendar, you have the days leading up to Christmas being 24 days in December, from the 1st to 24th of December being Christmas Eve. So what you need to do is cut 24 cards. And the cards will become something interesting for the kids to do, something that they can do to help someone else is sort of more my focus. You know, I think Christmas is all about giving and thinking of others. So I will have a mixture of special prizes that my kids will receive, but then sometimes the cards might ask them to do something for someone else. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and obviously whatever you choose to put on the cards for your children will be completely up to you. But either way, you need 24 of them. So it's really just a matter of making little cards, probably about that size, I'd imagine. And then you can write on the inside. And the peg will hold it in place on the tree. So because I have 2 daughters, I've done 2 colors, and that is sort of how I'll organize it. Now what I need to do is take the time to think of 24 little messages. It might just be tell someone that you love them today, or draw a love heart and give it to someone that you think needs love. Different creative little messages that they can open up and gives them something to do or someone else to think about on that day. Now that my tree is completely dry, I'm going to decorate it. I will be sticking the little cards with the little messages on last, but before I do that, I'm going to stick on some different things to make it look like a Christmas tree with some super tack. This little garland here is so super cute, and I got that from Kmart. That will act as some tinsel. And once you've created your advent tree, you don't have to do that again. Each year, really, all you have to do is write new cards. Everything else is done for you, and you can keep it for year after year. Now, super tack does take a while to dry, so just leave it in a safe spot for probably a day after you've stuck everything down, just so you can be assured that it will all stay in place. Next, I'm going to stick on these beads as little baubles, and I also have gorgeous little tassels from Kmart as well. It's a little bit fiddly, but if you have some older kids, they'll be able to make something like this themselves too. While tempting, please don't go too nuts with decorations, because you do need to leave room for all the little cards that make up the advent calendar. So you do need to leave a fair few spaces available for the cards to also stick on. So on each of these cards, I've actually written an action or something for my girls to do, or something for them to consider. So I'll show you a few examples. These ones down here, they get them to open a box. So open box number 1, for example, and I'll put a little present in this bag number 1. And that they get 5 times, but they aren't all just receiving. What I do want to teach my kids is to do things for others. So I've written things like, do something nice for your sister, or do something, do the dishes for mummy, give daddy a massage, think of something nice to do for daddy. And so they're fairly open-ended, a lot of them. Some of them to draw a picture for someone they don't know. This one says, you can have a special drink with dinner tonight. So they vary in the type of actions for them to do, and they're all age appropriate. Obviously, draw a picture of a love heart and give to someone you think might need some love. So I guess the idea is for them to think outside of their own world and consider others on Christmas, which is very important. Now that I've written in all of them, they now need to go onto our decorated Christmas tree, and I'm going to glue the pegs on, as I have been doing with my super tack here. And hopefully it will be big enough to house, 24 different little tags. So let's see, and keep our fingers crossed that that will be the case. So advent calendars are generally sort of all mixed up and random. So I'm going to do the same thing. So this is my finished Christmas advent calendar, very personalised for my 2 girls. I hope you enjoy making something just like this. It is a little bit fiddly, but it's actually fantastic. And now that the base is done, all I need to do is each year is just replace the little cards with little instructions on them. So go to Kmart, grab some stuff from Zart, and get cracking with your very own Christmas advent calendar. So it's as simple as that. I really hope you get into the Christmas spirit this year and create a fantastic personalised advent calendar for your kids or the students in your class. Please make sure that you tag me at ArtLife Art Lessons on Facebook, or at artlife.melb on Instagram, because I'd love to see if you've had a go at this task. You can communicate with me there if you have any questions. But for now, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas.